Well, hey, good morning. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And yeah, I'll be talking through the latest gaming news, what I've been getting into. Yeah, just some fun morning game talk before getting the day started. It is the 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, and I know some people have that time off. I am actually working today. I do have work I have to get done for my day job, but I do have Christmas off, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, what else? I just realized I need to close, but I guess it doesn't matter. You can see the sun through the window there. It looks pretty cool. But it's funny because like everyone in the house is asleep, obviously, because there's no school. I think even my wife has today off from work. So, but I got up at like 6:30. I wake up early every morning. I just kind of chill in the bed for a little bit, and then I'll come down. And this gives me some time to just read news, prepare some stuff, get some cool ideas going on in my head. Which I've got some stuff to talk about. But Autonomous, good to see you. Always glad you're here. But yeah, let's jump into some of this. Didn't know Christmas Eve was an off day nowadays. Well, it's not. My wife actually asked for the day off, which was a smart idea. My company was doing a thing that was like, just because how the world has been industries, about, okay, let me see if I should turn this light on, about, time, company. My company's really cool about that stuff where they were like, okay, is that okay? Is that too bright? Yeah, it was like try to ask your PTO off by a certain time so they know how the rest of the year is going to go. So, they can really make sure, it all works out, I guess, the money that comes in. And then, turn that down just a little bit. Sorry, I'm like doing lights on the fly. Anyway, but like we had this company meeting last week and they're like, well, because the idea was we were going to roll PTO over to the next year if you didn't use it. But they were able to account for the rest of the year. So they were like, okay, if you do have PTO you haven't used yet and you want to use it, you can. So then I sprinkled some in. I mean, I still got a lot of work to do. That's what I like about my job is I'm usually pretty busy and it's interesting stuff. But what's really interesting is video games. So why don't we talk about that? What am I going to share first? What I've been playing. And, it might not be a surprise to all. One, I've been jumping back into the Power Rangers game. They came out with another update that also tweaked the game a little bit. I still feel the game... let me adjust that, sorry. The game falls short from being really good. It's pretty good. I think a lot of it has to do with the combat mechanics because I would even say, and this is a spoiler for those... because I'm going to be doing like my Game of the Year videos later. But like for me... Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rewind is the best graphics of the year, in my opinion. It's not like, high-end, photorealistic Unreal Engine. No, it's the way they took the 2D graphics and were able to reproduce as you go, where they limited how it would work. Like seeing a lot of parallaxing, where there's like multiple layers of things as it moves. Normally that's a constraint due to hardware limitations, but they're embracing it as the aesthetic of the game. And I think the game just looks wonderful. As for how it plays, it's too basic for its own good. If, for instance, you have an attack button and then you can jump an attack and you have a special. Most brawlers sometimes will have a 2-button attack system so you can do combos. Or if it's not a 2-button attack, at least they'll have a button to pick up items and weapons in the world. That's the one thing this Power Rangers game is missing. There's no things to pick up in the world to use to fight with, which, okay, that's fine. But I would think then with this Power Ranger game to make it a 2-button combat system, make one as the punch kick if you want, but then make the other one their special weapon because each Power Ranger has their own weapons. And maybe sometimes at the end of an attack, you'll see the weapon come out, but that's just for show and not a gameplay mechanic. I wish the Power Rangers weapons were a gameplay mechanic, and it's not. So, and it's just so interesting how when I'm first playing it, I'm like, okay, this dodge button doesn't work right because it has a cooldown, so you can't rely on it. And then they changed that in a patch. They're like, we made it where now there's no cooldown, so you can. And it's like, how did Steven always says that when he comes in here sometimes. How did that get through Q&A? Focus testing. Stylized graphics are better than hyper-realistic graphics, yeah. And I'm hoping people are realizing that, because I really think the past 20 years, it's all been about the best graphics, or photorealistic. I'm surprised the Power Rangers don't get to use their special weapons. That was the default thing back in the SNES. Yeah. And a lot of people in the discussions are saying the Super Nintendo game's better. Even that game I was showing off that came out in like 2012, 2013, I forget. I forget the name of it. That had more combat mechanics to it, even where you had to power up a gauge to then morph into your costume. It happened fast, but I liked that was part of the gameplay mechanics. Again, super surprised. It's like they hired people that knew how to make the aesthetic, not necessarily how to make the game, if that makes sense. But I don't want to knock it. I think it's just more of there's a part of me when Power Rangers first came out, that's when I was getting out of it, going into that teenager phase. So it was like the last of that thing, But then also, I'm a huge fan of beat 'em ups because they can be done well, and they are when they're done well, it's so good. Double Dragon Gaiden, which came out, was it last year? And it was my game of the year last year. 2-hit combo system. You could pick up weapons. There's so much you could do. You are maximizing your combos to get more XP, and that's the thing. What Double Dragon Gaiden did was make it where the combat system itself was a puzzle that maximized the end result, the point system, whatever. This game doesn't do that. It's more of beat a game without dying, beat a level without dying, or find all the secrets. And I'm thinking of making a video about it. I always say that, but I really want to, because it's more of so other people that are into game development that make a beat 'em up would see, okay, this is what we could do to really, or I just need to make a beat 'em up. Let's move on, shall we? Godzilla PS3. I can't believe how much I've been playing it. 38 out of 41 achievements. What was this one? Earn all atomic breath types in evolution mode. So all I have to do now is get the right kaiju cells to then unlock the rest of the evolution types, which is really just my breath gauge. How many breath things I have and how long it takes to level up. And that will take some grinding, and I realize there's two ways to go about this. There's not much information online about Godzilla, this Godzilla game in general, especially PS3 version, because it is different than the PS4 version. But what I've seen someone on a YouTube video do is they just play through the God of Destruction mode over and over. And that could take time. You could do a run in 40 minutes, maybe, which it's fun. But then there's the King of Kaiju mode, which in King of Kaiju mode, you can get that done in 5 minutes. You get a random cell at the end. So if I need 6 different cells, I'd have to play through 6 times, but that could be done faster than playing the God of Destruction mode. Also, in the King of Kaiju mode, you can unlock figurines. So that's the other achievement I need, is to get all the figurines, which I've gotten so many, I should be close. But this, just distilled down to its essence, has amazing gameplay while feeling like the experience of what a Godzilla experience would be. It's a great game. I really want to get it on the PS4 also, and it was funny. Yesterday I was looking up my videos, old videos, and I had a quick look video for Godzilla PS4, and then I had my video review. Even though I didn't play through all of Godzilla, I felt like there was enough of a review to be like, you know what, this game is worth trying. And that's, at the end I had like a buy, try, avoid, and it was like, this is worth trying. It's $60, not the best graphics, kind of repetitive, but if you like that, I was like, good job, Adam. Good job, 2015, Adam. Yeah, because that's when the game came out. Did I do anything else? No, because I think last we had talked, let me see what the date was. No, well, yeah, I guess maybe Friday. I went and beat the Astrobot Christmas level. That was fun. I took some screenshots. I think Ultronymous, you saw them. I posted them on Twitter. So yeah, That was my game. Oh wait, and that was this. Oh, I did some more stuff on the 20th too. I played more Godzilla Voxel Wars. I got a lot of achievements. This game is insane. The more I play it, it's insane. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because as you're playing a level, it will be like, beat this match in 2 moves without getting hit. And I'm like, what? And it's like all the levels are like that. And so when there's this like golden ticket option that you can press, and you use a ticket and it shows you what to do. And sometimes it's like, wow, it's like you use other kaiju to help you. And it almost seems like Godzilla is more of there to get the mushrooms that give him the abilities to call other kaiju, and you let the kaiju do all the dirty work. It's very interesting how the gameplay is set up. And then I played some more Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which it looks good. It's fun, but it gets boring really quick because it is just very low energy. Explore here, pick this up, explore there, pick that up. When you get into combat, it's usually not anything difficult. It's just, it looks cool, it feels good, but it's just very low energy. Like, it's hard to keep. So that it might be the game where every once in a while, and it's been a couple days, where maybe I just jump in, play at least 30 minutes. It's weird. It's like, I like it and I want to beat it, but it's very low energy, very low engagement for me, just because there's not much going on. And I think that was done on purpose. This was made to be a very mainstream game for anyone could play this. My wife could even play this, for sure. Because even in the first person, there's not too much going on. It's not super kinetic and fast paced. So it's like it wouldn't cause, I think, a lot of what do you call it? Not nausea for people that don't like that stuff. So yeah. That was my gaming. I thought it was pretty fun. Oh, you know what? No, there was some more gaming I did, and it's because it doesn't track on here yet. Starship Troopers on the MetaQuest 3. That game is so fun. That might be in my top 5 game of the year, because it literally is a Starship Troopers first-person shooter, but you are controlling. And what I like is they have the standing mode and sitting mode. Hey, Steven, good morning. Good to see you. Because you could stand up and play, and it's easier because it's quicker to move around fast. But if you don't feel like standing to play, you can sit, and I'm in this chair that rotates, so I can rotate around, shoot. It's just what's so fun about the game is all the bugs are coming at you, and I have to shoot. When I'm out, I press a button to drop the magazine, then I have to go pick up the other magazine, put it in, and then get it loaded in. And during that time, I'm running backwards and trying not to get hit, and then da-da-da-da. And there was times where I remember I had a shotgun, and you have a secondary, so shotgun's over your right, secondary's over your left, like a pistol. Oh man, I remember having my shotgun, and I'm shooting, and then someone else is coming, so I grab my other gun, and I'm shooting them while shooting with the shotgun, and then having to press the button to drop the magazine, put my gun back, get the magazine in the shotgun, load it, and start while they're coming at you. Like, they captured the essence. And again, this is a good example of marrying the experience of Starship Troopers with the gameplay mechanics. And then you're constantly upgrading. There's a perk system, tons of ways you can upgrade and change your play style of how you want to play, especially if you want to go down a perk path to be more about your shotgun or your machine gun, or maybe more about your accessories like grenades and ammo count, and less about the fire. And then there's this psychosis thing you could do. I know they talk about, like, is psychosis the right word? The telekinetic stuff that happens, psychic abilities, in Starship Troopers lore that's there. So it's like this little burst you have when I think it's supposed to like push the enemies away, and I keep forgetting to use it because it's just not. But anyway, that's something you can also upgrade. So, and then it's all multiplayer, which I can't even beat. Okay, it's the second level, I guess, maybe. I can't even beat it by myself. I get to the very end, and I get overwhelmed. Like, and the level was long. I'm traveling in the desert, in the canyons, fighting these outposts with all these hidden items that I can pick up, and then they go to your XP or whatever. And then I get to this open area. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? No, it's the tanker bug, the plasma bug. And as I'm playing, like, this dropship is trying to land, but it can't, so it's dropping down rocket launchers for me to pick up and shoot at it. And I wasn't able to do it on time because there's bugs coming at me that I have to shoot, and then I have to put the guns back to get the rocket launcher to shoot the plasma bug, and they're all coming at you. I think the game, and this is the same thing with the Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. I think the game is tuned to be played in multiplayer. Rita's Rewind is so hard. But if I was playing multiplayer like Shredder's Revenge, it would be like, okay, this would be a lot easier to play. Starship Troopers is the same way. All the levels are co-op. And you could go and just find a match. So if there's enough people playing, it'd probably be easier for me to jump into a match and, play. Because, yeah, I would be able to shoot like the bugs while someone shoots the plasma bug or vice versa. Psychokinesis. Oh, good job, yeah. Silver Lining, being overwhelmed is lore accurate. Heck yeah, it's exactly it. The Starship Troopers game makes it feel like Starship Troopers while being all mechanics based, and I love it. Love it. Great game. All right, let's jump into some news. Another N64 classic has been quietly ported to PC by fans. So it's very interesting how N64 games are getting like just straight up EXEs on PC. It's like, here's the game. This one is called Starship, and it's Star Fox, but it's 60 FPS. Oh yeah, they did the Ocarina of Time in Majora's Mask port. Starship allows those with legal game ROMs to play Star Fox 64 with modern settings such as higher frame rates and in ultra widescreen resolutions. This game would be excellent in ultra widescreen. We could see, I mean, just looking right here, I don't really have a need for an ultra widescreen, maybe in the future, but even right now, if I'm to divide the screen up, I think that would impact performance. Let's see, anything else about it? Despite being one of Nintendo's most recognizable brands, there hasn't been a new Star Fox game in 8 years. The last was Star Fox Zero on Wii U, which was good, but the sections that required using the gamepad to do stuff ruined it. If they could patch it, release it on Switch 2 where that's not required, it would be great. In fact, I got to the last boss on... wait, does Exophase show that stuff? Let's see. Oh, unless it's one word. No. No Star Fox, huh? Yeah, maybe Wii U didn't have that tracking, because I know there's the Nintendo account, but I know it has the Switch symbol. I know they changed how their online services worked by the time the Switch came out. So, anyway, this great game. I remember playing it when it first came out. It was the Rumble Pack came out. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. It's interesting what Nintendo was able to do with 3D as PC was doing it too. All right, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 confirmed for 2027, so that's great to hear that they're going to make a fourth movie. I mean, if they follow the structure and the path that they're using for 3, I think they've got a winning formula, because 3 minimized the human element, and it really, Jim Carrey works for Dr. Robotnik, because Dr. Robotnik, while a bad guy, has always come off as this sort of, even I remember playing the original game, as simple as you seeing the sprite in Sonic 1 of him laughing as he is utilizing one of his various inventions. And then you end up stopping it, and he is getting away, but he kind of looks at the screen like, oh my God, Sonic just effed me up, but I'm getting out of here. Like, even with that little, with pixel graphics, the way Jim Carrey is playing Dr. Robotnik is leaning into that. There's that confidence, but that goofiness. Although that's kind of been throughout, even Sonic Adventure games and all that. Iterations of him on the shows and all that. It's very interesting how consistent they are with Sonic. Even I was thinking about the voice acting from the original cartoons in the 90s to the movie. It's like, it's kind of the same style. So I wish they were that consistent with the games. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So this is interesting because Glenn Schofield, who worked on the original Dead Space with EA, he was able to get and then he did that recent Callisto Protocol that didn't do that well, but that was by that big publisher's expectations, because they were expecting 5 million sales, and I think it made 2 million, which is still a lot. Anyway, he went to EA with the original Dead Space crew and like, hey, we want to make Dead Space 4, and they said no. It's very interesting. EA is like playing it safe as hell, but it could be that Callisto Protocol didn't really do too well, and they're just like, people aren't really into that. It's interesting because Resident Evil works, right? But I feel like they've made Resident Evil very much into an action genre. And it's either you make an action game or you make a horror game, like a survival horror game. Like these, there's been so many indie horror games coming out recently. It seems like, and that's what I think EA is thinking. They're like, well, we're going to make this and we're going to try to make it more action-y. They're going to try to balance horror. And then I think it's just going to be like one of those, it's really hard to nail down what is this. Because if you look at the first 3 Dead Spaces, I like the first one. The second one was just more of the first one. The third one is interesting. But it's, I feel like you have to go the route of Resident Evil, Capcom, where it's like, everyone knows what to expect, so how do we fully optimize that experience? And that needs to be the pitch. A Dead Space 4 can't be, hey, we just want to make a 4th game. No, it's like, hey, let's take the elements that made the first Dead Space excellent, because they did that remake, and maybe the remake didn't sell well. That's a good point. And let's maximize that style. So it could be what it is. And Dead Space is cosmic horror to boot, which makes it even harder to sell, which I love cosmic horror. Interesting that it's harder to sell, because isn't that even Bloodborne is pretty much cosmic horror? Yeah, they say horror games are still kind of niche, but like so many horror games come out and they're successful. Like Dead by Daylight is a good example. I think the difference could be EA's like, well, we're gonna want to sell 5 million, when that doesn't need to be the case. It's like with movies. Horror movies do well, but they have low budgets because you can make them with a low budget. Interesting stuff. Let's see. Sega could create a new game subscription service, report says. A recent report suggested that Sega, let me pause this, the Japanese gaming giant, could produce a standalone game subscription service based on the extensive library it has built up over the years. This would likely see its games withdrawn from similar subscription schemes like today, capitalizing on the growth of the operating model. The gaming world is no blah, blah, blah. We're thinking of something, discussing something we cannot disclose right now, because they said they don't want to come out with a mini, because they don't want to just release retro games. So, but a subscription service, this will go down the same path as Paramount Plus, Hulu, ESPN, all that stuff. It would, okay, I think a subscription service would work if you're saying $4.99 a month, all retro Sega games. You would have to have Sega CD in there, Sega Master System, Dreamcast. Like, it would have to be that era, Dreamcast below, and then they could throw in some other games. But it would be interesting if it's like an add-on for Steam, Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, but it would have to be a low price. Because otherwise, I don't know. It's hard to say. I really think it's just a better idea to just re-release these things when needed. Like if there's no way to play a certain game, make it available. And then, I don't know. Yeah, please don't. We have too many subscriptions as it is. Bloodborne is cosmic horror, but Old Englandy Soulsborne, which could override. It's not as in your face about it. Yeah, and that's the thing too. A lot of it is a gameplay mechanic called insight, that as you come across more cosmic horror stuff in Bloodborne, then the world slowly morphs and forms to show off more, like the amygdala. Is that how do you say it? Giant alien that will appear, but only if you have a certain amount of insight based on what you've encountered in the game. So it's interesting how they made the insanity of cosmic horror a gameplay mechanic. All right, 15% of Steam users played 2024's game releases. Think about that. Think about how many people have Steam. It's huge, 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 huge. And only 15%, and maybe that's a good number, but just from my perspective, what I don't know, only 15% played the new games. Most people are playing older games. That is very interesting. That's why I think, man, my brain goes into a rabbit hole so fast. DC with their Zack Snyder verse, they should have just stuck with it, let him do his thing, let it bake. It's like that with video games. When you come out with a video game and it doesn't sell, I feel like these developers or publishers, I should say, are like, it's not working, let's just move on. No. Tweak it, add to it. Battlefield or the Battlefront 2 game, they were like, well, and because it was the Star Wars IP, so it had the visibility, they had the go-ahead to, okay, let's just constantly change this up, fix it, make it work good. And if you make something work, No Man's Sky, a good example, came out, people were like, this isn't what it's supposed to be, but they kept adding to it, taking player feedback. So this, 15% that are playing the new games, all the other people are probably playing games that have had that sort of, let's keep working on it, let's keep it up to date, let's listen to player feedback. Let's see. When I see Steam, I just think I'm a mod old games and enjoy. Yeah, that's true too. I don't even think it's the woke stuff. It's just that the new games are so dull. It's the same games over and over. Yeah. I felt that with Space Marine 2. I was so excited to play it, and then when I played it, I'm like, this is a Space Marine 2 game. It's good. But yeah, I'm ready to do something else. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the woke stuff as much as that maybe has some sort of marketing bearing in some way. At the end of the day, it's going to be the mechanics that keep people there. And then I think like, well, Steam doesn't even have the games that are the popular games that people are playing a lot now, which is Fortnite and Roblox. It does have other free-to-play games, like, I don't know, League of Legends, whatever, Dota. I forget what Steam's thing is, but how many games in 2024 really push gameplay with new or interesting mechanics? They're competent but not fun. Exactly. And even if there's a game that I think is amazing, like Helldivers 2, it just took stuff that existed and repackaged it, which is fine. I think that's a good next step, but it's not like it's still the whole, I'm in a lobby, I jump, I start a match with some people and play and then go. Like, there's no reverberating effects of the experience you had, because then it's like, okay, logging in, what are the dailies? Logging in, what is the, and I can't wait to talk about my games of the year, because I think like last year, right? Last year for me, it was Double Dragon Gaiden, which is great. But you wouldn't think it would be an old 2D side-scrolling game. You would think there would be something, like even, Dragon's Dogma 2, the other one, I love it. But it's not doing anything new. It's just taking, a gameplay element and, just kind of, very interesting. How many games in 2024 were new and not a sequel or expansion on something older? It feels like we haven't gotten too many totally new games that weren't a hidden gem or re-releases remastered. Yeah, okay, Slitterhead will be something I need to check out that demo, because that could be fun. And I wonder if the kind of lower discussion point on it is because it's not something familiar and more of the mainstream mass marketing. They really flock to familiarity, which makes sense. I'm just trying to look at some other games I had played, but even something like Raiden Nova, that's an old school style game, but they made it based on newer stuff, but it's just a survivor-like. And then even you have the Castlevania Dominus Collection. That's probably in my game of the year. But that's the old Castlevania games. It's just, I'm glad they put them on DS. It is crazy. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong example. That's just a good action game. It doesn't do anything new or different, but it's just well made. How many new different things are gonna come? Let's see. Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, Balatro are the larger players, but Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, and PUBG are the top games. Yeah. And I think it's that mainstream thing. Gaming is now mainstream, and there's a lot of people that play it. So what would be going to the bowling alley, or what would be going to hang out at Sonic with your friends, is now logging into the lobby of Fortnite, chatting about school, then shooting some stuff. It's kind of different, and I think the publishers are missing that when they're looking at the revenue and all that stuff. Okay, this is interesting. Terminator 2D No Fate. It was just rated in Australia, so it's like, well, what is this? The Terminator games have been interesting. So, for instance, it's the same developer. There's this Terminator Resistance that came out in 2019. That is actually pretty good. And I didn't beat it. And I think it said I have 5 hours in it. I was looking it up on Exophase. I would love to go back and play through this game. And that reminds me of the RoboCop game. They both do the same thing where they're able to be in their world and the gameplay mechanics reflect what that world is, that we know from the movies and all that. But then it got me thinking of this Terminator 3 Redemption, which, amazing game. And I remember when I got it, there was some reason that I didn't play it. And I was like, I got to go back to it. And then later I did. I bought it again. What's cool about this is you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there is a one-liner button. And I think it's Y, where you just press the button and he has his one-liners. But you can also, there's different mechanics, like here, shooting, meleeing. You can pick up items in the world and melee. Oh, look, he just stabbed the dude with the, yeah. And I got pretty far in this game. Yeah, because then there's like the sequences where you're driving, which were pretty tough. I'd be like, oh, what am I doing? Yeah, I remember this. This is part 1. I was about to say, the game's not just an hour and 40 minutes, because I know I've gotten here, but I haven't gotten that far in the game. But it's just, it has all these different gameplay mechanics while you're playing the game. Which remind me of something. I feel like I should cover it. Oh, and I got to go too. And I'll end it with this. So we were just talking about games doing different things. There's not a lot of games that are doing different things. In the Power Rangers game, I was knocking it for its kind of lame brawler combat, but I keep forgetting that it also has additional levels that balance out the game that are not brawler gameplay. They have some that are like the Mode 7, is that what it's called? Graphics from Super Nintendo, where you're like on the motorcycle or your Zord and you're, moving forward and jumping and shooting. That's cool new mechanics are adding. That's fun. And then there are the battles when you're in a Zord. So it's almost like maybe they had to sacrifice some of the brawler gameplay in order to then add these different features. But then it's like, okay, that's pretty good, honestly, that this Power Rangers game does have these different mechanics. But then it's funny, or different level types. It's funny when reading the discussions, I don't think anyone really cares about that stuff. Even though it's cool that, yeah, you're on a motorcycle or you're on your Zord playing like Space Harrier, you could tell that people that were playing this just wanted a full-on brawler game, and where those controls were the focus, and not like, oh, then you can be in a motorcycle. Oh, now you could be in a Zord. So what do we get from today's show? Nothing. I was just ranting about random stuff. I guess it's like the video game industry is still trying to figure out what to do. And it just reminded me of this tweet I saw where someone's like, the video game industry has been a mess. It's the video game industry because they have all these layoffs. And it's like, no, that's just how things are right now. All companies are going through this stuff. And at the end of the day, if you have these shareholders that we were just talking about with like EA or Krafton with the Callisto Protocol, it's like, we want 5 million units sold. So we're going to make the game where it's like, you don't know. You should keep that budget low, really focus on the mechanics and the ideas, let the game sell itself. And I think they're missing that. And so the shareholders are just, going the wrong place. So, make more creative games, So anyway, guys, I'm going to head to work, and we will talk later. Have a good one. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I'll be here. I don't know. We'll see. That's the mystery. So, all right. We'll see you guys.